I'm going to call this meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. As we normally do, I'm going to ask that we observe a few moments of reflection. And we'll start now. Thank you. Thank you. Ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm going to ask much better saying but you can lead the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any adjustments to the agenda?
I'd like to add a recommendation from the school committee regarding the naming of Schaefer Drive and Schaefer Street.
And it's coming under mayor and council?
Council action, yes.
That will be E, that will be D. And on advice of our attorney, under consent agenda, we have counsel to set the personal property tax relief percentage. She has suggested we move that under discussion by mayor and council so we can have a separate vote on it. So I will move it to F. E. Anything else? Is it all right with you guys? Yeah. Public hearings, we have a conditional use permit request for an electronic reader board in the B2 Central Business District at 190 North Franklin Street, Pizza Inn by Jay Stewart and Jill Arbo. The property is designated as downtown mixed use in the future land map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. Is there anyone here to address this issue?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
It's good to see all of you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Stuart Arbuckle is one of our best corporate citizens. He is very quick to assist others, particularly charitable organizations with fundraising activities. He's very active with the Chamber of Commerce and has been identified by the Chamber of Commerce as one of our outstanding business leaders. He has a thriving business here in Christiansburg. He brings a lot of people to the downtown area. And we need to do everything that we can to enhance our local businessmen and to promote their business. I know that you will grant the CUP request by Stuart Arbuckle this evening. Thank you so much. It's good to see you.
Thank you. Stuart, you got anything to say?
My turn?
If you want to, yeah.
Yes, sir. Well, I just wanted to tell you what I'm trying to do. I brought some pictures, if I can give them to you guys. Sorry that they're in black and white. This is just a sample of a basic digital reader board of a Pizza Inn, and this was if it would have been in color. But all we're asking for is to get a digital sign so that I can promote our business and advertise specials. We are in a special use district, so we're going to follow all the rules that Andrew said with the digital signs. There's certain times and how much you can scroll and that kind of thing. And then I also we box top these items for like the fire department. Like Mayor Ballinger was saying, we try to support the town and tell about the activities downtown. The Wilderness Trail Festival, the Christmas parade, the Fireman's Parade. We support the World Series that they've had. And just like on some incidents, I have a World Series and a swimming pool or swim team meet, and I can't do both of them. So so I can make it more aware. We're going to put the time and the temperature because those are supposedly things that y'all like, so, and community things, and of course not specials. But we're not looking for anything fancy, or it's not gonna be rolling or moving or video, or, you know, it's gonna be within all the other requirements of digital signs. I guess that must be a one.
Any questions, council? Mr. Hubbard?
I have always not been that excited about digital signs, but I think I lost a long time ago when other people have got these, and I know that Pizza Inn does a lot of good things for this town. And, I'm on the museum board, and you have helped us out numerous times, so we appreciate that. So that's all I have.
And pardon my ignorance, but does this go before planning commission?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've been approved for the planning commission.
Okay, gotcha.
They got more detailed and asked me more things. I mean, I'll share more information if need be, but,
Okay, so
Virginia Tech did a study on the digital signs like a week before I came, and they actually, their study came out, was with VDOT, Virginia Tech, and Smart Road, and they found out that areas that had lit signs or lighted signs were less road traffic hazards and incidents than a non-lit sign or a side road or somewhere like, you know, a county road or something. They were finding whether people were more aware in town and they drive more careful, but the signs weren't an issue of affecting traffic.
Very good. Actually, I stand corrected. I see that right here. I see the planning commission's recommendation.
And I may add, yeah, it comes to you with the recommendation of 8-0,
Yeah, I saw
with
that.
no conditions added, and that was at their meeting on August 28th. They made that recommendation.
And we recommended, the same night we had the public hearing, we also intended to vote that night, and we did so the same night.
Well, Mr. Mayor, what do we need to do to consider council's feelings on acting on this evening? Can we do that now, or?
We did that under discussion and action by mayor and council. Is that a motion?
Well, if you're
Move-
okay with us entertaining a motion now, yeah, I'll make a motion that
I
we
second it.
take this up this evening.
Motion and a second. Discussion, questions? Madam Clerk?
Yes, yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard? Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It's 5-0-1. Right, thank you very much. So that will be item F under discussion and actions by mayor and council. All righty. Under the consent agenda, we have the council meeting minutes of August the 22nd and September the 12th of 2017, monthly bills, NRV CARES letter of appreciation for FY 17-18 contribution, purchase orders with Carter Machinery Company for Public Works as follows: a backhoe loader at $138,000, an excavator at $123,000, and a wheel loader at $176,000. We need to schedule a public hearing for November the 14th on a conditional use permit request by Linda S. McMurray, agent for J&E Inc., for a kennel animal daycare overnight boarding at 569 North Franklin Street in the B3 General Business District. The property is designated as business commercial on the future land use map of the 2013 comprehensive plan.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I would like, before we go into that, I think, Mr. Wingfield, you have some corrections to the minutes for the
I do have
the
one
12th.
adjustment to the minutes of the 12th. Under item 7, under introductions and presentations, item A, the Christiansburg Aquatic Center presentation, I'd just like to correct the minutes to show that at the end of the minutes, we state that council encourages the Aquatic Center to apply for the tourism grant. I'd just like it to change to reflect after discussion that council agreed to fund that at $1,000.
And that's on the... Now, Mr. Bishop, are you ready to make your motion with amendments?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with the changes that Mr. Wingfield has suggested.
I second it.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussions, questions?
I would just like to ask about the dog kennel. Exactly, where is 569 North Franklin?
It is the location of the former plant nursery between the Kroger and the aquatic center, where Field of Greens was located previously.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard? Councilman Showalter? Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That is again 501. Thank you very much. Citizens' comments. This is where we allow and ask our citizens to come forward with any items or issues or concerns. I ask that you come to the podium, give me your name and address, and limit your comments to 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having us here. I'm Jared March. This is Marie March. We're the owners of Due South Barbecue and Fatback Soul Shack. And those are at 1329 Roanoke Street and
2440 Roanoke Street.
2440 Roanoke Street. And I just wanted to review for a minute. We had an event Saturday evening. It was an outdoor music event. It was the first event of the kind that we've had there since we built our new stage, which we had discussed with planning, building department. I believe there were some discussions with the police as well about that. And we thought everything was going to be excellent. And when the event started, it was excellent. We had a place for people to gather that I haven't seen in years. I saw people that I used to see at Due South when I used to serve barbecue sandwiches 10 years ago. And we either had people from Roanoke, we had people from all over. We had tourism. We did well until about 9:30 when the first town police officer showed up with complaints about a noise violation. And he was very polite, very nice, very calm. And we told him that the noise ordinance didn't start till 10 p.m. And he left. About, half an hour later, 10:15 or so, another officer came out. And he was not as, what the word is that I'm looking for.
Pleasant.
He was not as pleasant at first. Ultimately did become very pleasant. We ended up having a pretty good conversation. He was very much in favor of what we were doing. He was very cognizant that the town doesn't have a lot of entertainment for the citizens or for tourists. So we're here to kind of help you understand our perspective on this noise ordinance and hope that you might take this up in your committees. The noise ordinance in a lot of towns differentiates between residential and business. Ours doesn't, except the first exemption states that sounds generated in business districts that are necessary and incidental to the uses permitted therein are exempted from the noise ordinance. We are a music venue operating in a business district creating music as well as food, and that's incidental to our business. The way we read the first exemption here, this is the business district exemption to the noise ordinance. So that's the first option that I think we have to look at, and I hope you would take a look at that because it would take very little effort, very little research. It's an interpretation issue. There's other options that we have looked at. Other towns do separate out business district versus residential district. And I think this ordinance probably works very well for a residential district. The other options that we've seen, there's tourism districts. And tourism districts are identified in the Virginia State Code. Tourism districts can be created pretty much at the discretion of the local government, where they want it, what they want to exempt, how they want to incentivize business owners to use those tourist districts. I hope you would consider that as well as another option. And I think you could probably identify a number of areas. Roanoke Street is probably a big area where that could be a very useful new tool for you to address the problem that we're having and the problem that's also going on down the street, I think, with the Starlight. I think I'm probably getting close to the end of my time here, but we just are looking for you guys to help us. We had a great evening. Our staff had a great time. Like I said, I saw people I haven't seen in 10 years. We had people in from Roanoke. We had people from Blacksburg. The band was the kind who's played for 25 years in this community. They told me they don't think they have ever played in Christiansburg.
Ever. This is the first time they've ever played in Christiansburg.
So this was, we've, I think, somewhat broken new ground here in the entertainment and tourism side of our business. And I think we've broken that ground for the town too. If we're going to be a destination for people to come to, there's got to be events for those people to attend.
And the hotel directly behind us was thrilled with the event. They sent me Facebook messages, 2 different Facebook messages, saying that this was great for them. It sold blocks of rooms, and they hope that the town will allow it to continue.
We're talking about this as every Saturday night or once a month or?
I would like it to be every Saturday, when it's nice weather, but I mean, I would be open to it being, less than that. We've now built the stage. We've spent a lot of money to build it. We'd really like to get some of that revenue back. So at this point, we're not doing any more until we kind of hear how this is going to be treated in the community, because we had police officers kind of crawling on that side of town. They were at McDonald's, they were at the Shell station, they had decibel readers out. It was like everyone that was there was like, what is going on? So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Back again. Stacy Martin, 1645 North Franklin Street. I'm here in support of the marches. I was there. It was not that loud. The 14th Amendment says a due process must occur. According to a Virginia Supreme Court ruling, which I can provide you, the requirement of regulations to not be uncertain or vague. A third strand of procedural due process requires the regulations not to be uncertain or vague. An ordinance is unconstitutional vague if it fails to give a person of ordinary intelligence, which I believe they are, ordinary or higher, a reasonable opportunity to know what is prohibited so he may act accordingly. The problem with Christiansburg's code is that Christiansburg's code is not clear and it is vague. Pulaski County says exceptions. If it's not in a residential area, it says sounds generated in commercial and industrial zoning districts which are necessary and incidental to uses permitted therein. Blacksburg, we all like to throw off on Blacksburg and how tough they are. Even Blacksburg has separated it out as residential. If you're in a residential area, you can have up to 200 people and you have a 10 o'clock quiet time. However, if you're not in a residential area, the 10 o'clock time does not apply. Salem, Roanoke, same thing. So we have a problem. We have a problem that's been generated by code. Doing a lot of research, it seems that MuniCode is the company who does a lot of the codes for other localities, but not ours. Probably, maybe MuniCode should be looked at. It's not vague, it's not general. I believe the problem has occurred that in Christiansburg's code, it says plainly audible. Plainly audible actually means on a legal basis, and Mrs. Fontana probably can recognize this, that you have to distinguish the words. I was on Roanoke Street. I left early. And you cannot distinguish the words very far away. We are pretty certain we know who the person was who called, and they live up behind 84 Lumber. And there's no way that was plainly audible. They may have heard a beat, and they may have heard something, but honestly, being where they're at, beside the interstate traffic is much louder. So that's my concern. I want to work together with the town with many efforts, and we appreciate what you have done on the sign codes. It's much appreciated. We really feel as a business group that was really a handout, and we are very appreciative of that. The last thing is, since there's elections coming up and there's discussion about town managers, I believe it would be appropriate to defer action on any town manager selection until after the elections. If everyone wins their seat as they are, fine, go ahead and proceed. If we can wait for over 1 year for a Supreme Court nominee, we can wait 60 days for a town manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Anyone else to address council? Dr. Wilson, I presume.
Mr. Mayor, council members, my name is Sherwood Wilson. I'm here tonight representing the New River Valley Regional 911 Authority as the chair of the board of the authority. I wanted to talk just for a minute about the amendment that was presented to this body, I think at your last meeting. But before I do that, let me just tell you a very brief story, and I know I have 5 minutes. I came back to Virginia Tech 10 years ago. And shortly after I came back to Blacksburg, or actually Christiansburg, I was in a meeting at the Inn of Virginia Tech with Mark Sisson and the chiefs of Christiansburg, of Blacksburg, Virginia Tech, and Tommy Witt, the sheriff. And that conversation was about the issues that were raised after April 16th and how the police department and the dispatchers were able to function together. And there were some real issues that were raised at the table. And from that day forward, as a group, the 4 agencies have walked together to create a regional 911 authority. And some of the major issues, one was the police couldn't talk to one another. Because we've done the authority, that's been resolved now. It's not perfect, and we still have issues in the fire and rescue side. But the police can talk to each other now without having to call each other on cell phones when they're across the street from one another. One of the big issues we have all over the county is cell service, cell 911 calls. When somebody calls 911 on a cell phone, it goes to the jurisdiction that the cell tower belongs to. And so if you're in the county and you call 911 and it bounces off a Christiansburg cell tower, it's going to go to at that point in time, it would go to the Christiansburg police dispatcher. They would answer the phone, find out what the problem was, and then they would transfer a landline phone to the sheriff's office. Same thing happened in Blacksburg and Virginia Tech. And it wasted precious seconds or minutes in that transfer of phone calls. So that was one of the issues we wanted to resolve. We had big inefficiencies among all 4 agencies. Many of us weren't standalone able to apply for grants. We all had separate CAD systems, RMS systems, and in most cases, folks' software systems were obsolete and weren't functioning as they should. And so everybody was faced with individual hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars of upgrades in software systems. And the other thing we wanted to accomplish as we talked about this regional 911 system is we wanted to be able to do a medical emergency dispatch so that when you call a 911 operator, you could actually get medical instructions on how to deal with a bad situation. I'm happy to tell you that today, as we stand here, and the last thing that was part of the conversation from 10 years ago was that ultimately we would share the costs of the regional 911 system based on the use of that system. And so for 10 years we walked together down this path to create the regional authority. It's been operating for a year. We just looked at a report today at the meeting. We process over 7,000 calls in and out of the regional 911 center every month. A third of those are 911 calls. 2/3, in round numbers, are responses back and forth regarding the 911 calls. So my point is we've accomplished by working together, by walking steadfast down this path together, we've accomplished what we set out to do. We have a much safer population now. When we sent last week or 2 weeks ago, when we sent that amendment to you all, I understand now that it caught you all by surprise, that you all felt like it was a last minute thing. I promise you though, it was not. That was never our intention. And I apologize that it hit you all kind of cold, but we have been working with that for literally years. And the amendment was kind of a pro forma thing that actually your council pointed out to us that we needed the amendment because we were going along thinking that we could create a formula by itself. So, with that said, I understand your concerns. I understand we have issues with the data. And honestly, we have to thank you for pointing out those deficiencies in the data. Because bad data is worse than no data at all. But it was never our intent to try to run something down your throats. It was never our intention to slip something by you. Our intention from day one for 10 years has never changed. And so what I'd like to propose, in fact, what I have proposed to my board, is that we redraft the amendment so that it goes through and the General Assembly gives us the authority to implement a formula at some point. And this is where it's different from what you saw last time. That we write in the legislation that no formula can be implemented without the unanimous vote from all 4 agencies' bodies. So we thought we had done that this time. Obviously we hadn't. So that's what I would like to propose. And in fact, I've called a special meeting of the regional authority for October 9th or 10th, I think, 9th, before your next council meeting, where I will present a redrafted amendment that A, authorizes the board of the regional authority to create a formula for service, and B, requires each of the 4 agencies to unanimously approve the formula before it goes into effect. So, in other words, any of the 4 have the ultimate veto power on any formula. So I ask that you would consider that, as I know you have a resolution coming up on the agenda later this afternoon. I'd ask that you consider that and just give us an opportunity to keep this thing on track. Let us fulfill the vision that we've all worked so hard to bring to fruition over the last 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherman.
You know, I shouldn't say anything, but we're not trying to raise a debate here or not, but we just want to make sure that Christiansburg is treated fairly and financially and otherwise, and that's our pledge here, and hopefully that you will do that.
Thank you, Steve.
I think that's what's proposed.
Under introductions and presentations, we have several new employees to introduce to council. I'm going to start with Roger Leonard, who is a Public Works Supervisor.
Good evening, I'm Roger Leonard, I'm a Public Works Supervisor. I'd like to introduce our new facility maintenance technician, Joey Griffith. Joey attended Auburn High School. He went to New River Community College for 3 years and studied general electronic technology. His work experience, he worked 10 years for Cracker Barrel, a year for 622 North, 4 years for Tony Huff Electricians. His hobbies are football, basketball, golf, softball, and fishing. His special skills are electrical. His community service, he is with the Reiner Volunteer Fire Department. So we'd like to welcome him aboard. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Next we have Michael Huseman, Supervisor of Right of Ways, is that correct?
Good evening, everyone. This is Max Brown. Max just started with us a couple months ago. He actually started off as a temp for us. Was fortunate enough to get on full time. Max grew up here in Christiansburg. He moved to New Jersey and lived for a year or 2. He came back to us fortunately. He has a little bit of a management experience. He's a little bit older, not ancient. But anyway, so we're very happy to have him. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Matt. Justin Shepard, Supervisor of Public Works.
Good evening, Council Mayor. Got Adam Eagle here with me. He graduated from Blacksburg High School. He worked for H.T. Boland and English Construction. He's also worked for Long Mobile Home Park doing excavating and maintenance. His background consists of excavating, maintenance, and utility installs. He's got about 10 to 12 years experience in that field. His free time, he likes to hunt, fish, camp, basically anything outside. And then he's got some experience in the fire and rescue at Long Shop down McCoy.
Next on the introductions and presentations, Bethany Mott, Executive Director of Alliance for Better Child Care Strategies, ABCs, to provide an update on their recent strategies and accomplishments. Bethany?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. Since the town of Christiansburg since ABCs was created with your support, I wanted to give you a brief background about why we were formed and what we've been doing since I came on board and since we launched in January 2017. So, ABCs exists because a stronger and more prosperous Christiansburg depends on attracting and retaining today's workforce talent, but also nurturing and developing young children, which will be tomorrow's workforce talent. And our economic prosperity now and in the future depends on high-quality, full-time childcare and early education for everyone. ABC's mission is to strengthen our community through creating and supporting more childcare, better quality childcare, and more affordable childcare options. You may not know it, but from a childcare perspective, our community looks like this. We are actually an officially designated childcare desert because I have the county stats. In the county, we have 5,000 children under the age of 5, but we only have places in childcare centers and family homes for 1,150 of these children. And finding quality care is even more challenging. One center, for example, has a waiting list of more than 1,000 children. Now, obviously, this lack of access to quality childcare affects the recruitment of our companies, but also affects employee productivity when employees are worried about where their children are and what's happening. So ABCs has been working on that. We've already recruited 2 new child care centers in the area. One will be opening before year end and the other will be opening in 2018. We're also in serious discussions with another one. We expect an announcement of that to be fairly soon. We've also been working on other options such as family home providers, talking to churches, looking at co-ops, corporate located centers to try to open up all options for employees. Also on the quality side, we've been investing in child development associate certificates. These are the bottom line, the first rung on the education ladder for child care educators, and encouraging further education, participate in the Davenport Institute at New River and other programs. And we've been extending membership and participation in Virginia Quality. Virginia Quality is the statewide QRIS system for child care centers and family home providers, and we have been encouraging everyone to get on board with that program and start working up the ladder in terms of quality. And in future years, the DSS is going to be actually paying larger reimbursements to centers and home providers who are involved with Virginia Quality. In just over a week, we will be launching the first regional professional symposium that will bring together both the Head Start, VPI, kindergarten teachers with all the child care educators, both in centers and in family homes. And that'll be on October 7th at the Inn of Virginia Tech. This summer, we also launched the Early Educator Awards so that we can recognize this very critical professional teachers of our young children. In addition, more affordable child care, and this is a really critical issue for all of us. We know that families whose children can access quality child care and education can pursue full-time work and be more productive. and this supports our workforce today and helps us build prosperity, much needed in the New River Valley and the town of Christiansburg. But the financial realities of quality childcare are daunting. We know that 36% of our community lives at 200% of poverty rate or below, but a family of 4 earning 200% of poverty rate with an infant and a 4-year-old would have to spend 40% of their gross income to access quality childcare. Obviously, that's impossible. We have many children who cannot access quality care. The DSS waiting lists are long, there's low tuition reimbursement rates, and if you earn 151% of poverty rate as a family, you do not have access to any government support. This means many, many children during the day may be sitting in front of Jerry Springer. I mean, we hope they're sitting in front of PBS at least, but or being shuttled between relatives. They're not in safe, high-quality educational environments, and therefore they're not coming to kindergarten as well prepared. We know the science on this. The research has been proven, and the trajectory for children who do not enter kindergarten ready for kindergarten, they tend not to be reading by 3rd grade. If you're not reading by 3rd grade, you're probably not going to graduate from high school. So investing in early education has a rate of return far more than 10%. It far exceeds any other program we can give our disadvantaged families. One of the long-term studies looked at people who had attended high-quality preschool and looked at them at age 40. They found, and you can see the 2 lines, the brown is the people who are not in high-quality preschool. They were far less likely to be involved with the criminal justice system. They're far more likely to be middle-class citizens, much more likely to have graduated from high school, and actually have a higher IQ. If you want people to be productive citizens and taxpayers, then the science shows, invest in early education. And and don't have to take my word for it, you're going to have 2 brief videos by Dr. Craig Ramey of Virginia Tech.
My good friend Jim Heckler, the year 2000 laureate in economics, drew this curve which summarizes probably close to $100 billion worth of investments in the United States in various programs designed to improve the life circumstances of people who start life with a couple of strikes against them. We sometimes do job retraining, we sometimes do special education. This curve suggests that the single best investment we can make is in pre-K education. Not only do these programs pay for themselves, but they return a rate of investment that Jim has calculated to average 10%. Any of you guys getting 10% of your money right now? No. Most of us aren't even close. These programs pay for themselves before children are even out of grade school. They return investments as high as 10 to 1.
There were 2 programs.
So educations that the future's
Hello, I'm here with James Heckman, a professor of economics at the University of Chicago, Nobel laureate, and a leading force for educational reform in education for many decades. So it's great to be with us today.
Do something that will change lives, that will give people a better start. Many of you here are in various professions dealing with pre-K children. You are my heroes. You make things happen every day that change people's lives. But we must, I would argue, be more systematic about that. And whether you're a liberal, a middle-of-the-roader, or a staunch conservative, it comes out the same place. None of us gain if other people suffer and cost society resources and don't play their part. So you can be altruistic, you can be self-interested. You come out at the same place, I think. But the question that I leave you with is, what are some of the really practical things that could be done here in Blacksburg, in the New River Valley, beginning tomorrow, that would make a difference?
Well, one of the things that ABCs has done that we believe will make a difference is we are launching a scholarship program we're calling Impact Families, Impact Lives. This will be supporting our workforce today and preparing tomorrow's workforce through investing in our preschool children's care and education. And we're focusing on 3- and 4-year-olds because right now in our market, that's where the availability is for quality childcare and education. There, quite frankly, we could create a great scholarship program for infants and toddlers, and we would have nowhere to place them, which is why we're working on more childcare as well. So, ABCs is building our childcare infrastructure one step at a time, and that has been our focus in 2017 with more childcare, better quality childcare, and affordable options. We're a nonprofit. We've received funding from you and other local governments and employers in this market. And I would request again that hopefully the town of Christiansburg can look at your budget and perhaps come back to supporting ABCs as you did in our initial founding. So thank you very much for your time and your past support and your interest. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Beth. Item C, under introductions and presentations, Melissa Powell, our Public Information Officer, Public Information Officer, Director, has recognition of wastewater treatment plant staff for being awarded the 2016 Water Environment Federation George W. Burke Jr. Facility Safety Award for their work in establishing and maintaining an active and effective safety program.
Well, you said it all.
Well, there you go.
Good evening, Council. So, as you're now aware, our wastewater treatment facility was awarded the 2016 Water Environment Federation, also known as WEF, George W. Burke Jr. Facility Safety Award. And this award, which is established in 1982 to honor a longtime Water Environment Federation employee, recognizes a municipal or industrial wastewater facility for establishing and maintaining an active and effective safety program. So the award is given annually to the most deserving wastewater treatment facility from each of the 45 WEF member associations. And our town wastewater treatment facility, which I'll let Ryan speak to in a little bit too, was nominated and then went through a safety audit before receiving this first place award. And the town wastewater treatment facility is the awardee representing the Virginia Water Environment Association. So for their incredibly hard work at creating an impressive culture of safety, we wanted to invite them here today and present them with a certificate. But before I do that, I'll read you what the certificate says, signed by Randy Wingfield, our interim town manager, and Mayor Mike Barber. It says, "This certificate hereby recognizes the Christiansburg Wastewater Treatment Facility and its staff for being awarded the 2016 Water Environment Federation George W. Burke Jr. Facility Safety Award. The award recognizes, as I just stated, a municipal or industrial wastewater facility that establishes and maintains an active and effective safety program. The wastewater treatment facility staff members have worked hard to create a culture of safety, and the facility is among a select few in the nation being recognized for its efforts. Thank you, wastewater treatment facility staff, for positively representing our town and working reliably and efficiently serve our residents." So before I invite the mayor up here and the rest of the staff, I know there are a lot of staff members here today, I asked Ryan to come up and just kind of fill in any context I missed and answer any questions you guys might have.
No, I think Melissa did a fine job, and Mr. Mayor did also. And so,
Just a few other things to kind of mention about that is so, the Water Environment Federation is the wastewater industry's major association, and so which the town is part of, and town council and town management supports us being part of that. And so the Virginia Water Environment Association is our local chapter. So, this probably dates back to 2014 and dates back to, previous town management and previous directors, and it's followed all the way through. This was a goal that we set for ourselves back in 2014 to create this safety culture. And there's been a lot done in the past 3.5 years to support that. Tanya Hockett was involved quite a bit. Support from our Public Works Administration, Jim Lansanese, that goes up all the way up to Steve Biggs and now Randy Wingfield, and obviously you guys. So without your support and the ability to spend some funds on safety, and then ultimately that rolls downhill, but it really couldn't be done without our staff. They were really challenged to create that safety culture. They stepped up in amazing ways. And so I couldn't be prouder of the group of people that we've got. So to put this in perspective, there's about a little over 14,000 treatment facilities in the nation, and this award's given, once to each of 45 members. So that puts us in a pretty select view. It's something different for the whole town to be proud of. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor, if you want to come up, we're going to take a photo of all wastewater treatment facility staff, public works staff to help support the effort. Tanya, you guys want to come up and get a photo? You do the honors. Just kind of gather around. Sometimes it's good to get out the
Let's go this way, and then we can kind of get some of them on either side of us. Come on in, guys.
All right, you gotta scooch in a little bit closer together.
Act like we like each other.
Yeah,
you're short. You can run.
Get closer. Back up. All right.
Sorry.
Here, fast. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Again, on behalf of council and town administration, it's my honor to, one, recognize your award, and two, present this certificate.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen, for a job well done.
Thanks, sir.
Any committee reports?
Well, we have a street committee report, but we've added that item to our agenda, right? The renaming of Schaefer Street,
Yes, sir.
correct?
We do.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion and action by mayor and council. First item is a rezoning request from the Montgomery County Economic Development Authority agent for Cox Family Farms LLC for an approximately 64.114 acre property. Tax map numbered 558A24. The applicant has requested council consider the rezoning of a 57.114 acre portion of the property from A Agriculture District to the I-2 General Industrial District. The property is designated as mixed use with buffer industrial on future land use map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. This is a carryover item from September the 12th.
And the only reason it's a carryover item is there was a problem with the plat, is that right?
Actually, we need a signed proffer statement.
Right.
We have everything now.
Yes, we do.
It'll be my pleasure to make a motion that we rezone the property as requested to I-2.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That would be 5-0-1. Thank you very much. Resolution proclaiming October the 8th through the 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week. It is in your agenda packet. If you would like, and I think I will for the benefit of the citizens that are here, with your permission, I will read this resolution. Whereas the town of Christiansburg, Virginia is committed to ensuring the safety and security of all those living in and visiting Christiansburg, and whereas fire is a serious public safety concern both locally and nationally, and homes are where people are at greatest risk from fire, and whereas in 1/5 of all homes with smoke alarms, the smoke alarms are not working, and whereas 3 out of 5 home fire deaths result from fires in properties without smoke alarms, which is 38%, and with no working smoke alarms, 21%. And whereas working smoke alarms cut the risk of dying in reported home fires in half, and whereas the age of a smoke alarm can be determined by the date of its manufacture, which is marked on the back of the smoke alarm, and whereas Christiansburg's first responders are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention and protection education, and whereas Christiansburg's residents are responsive to public education measures and are able to take personal steps to increase their safety from fire, especially in their homes, and whereas the 2017 Fire Prevention Week theme, Every Second Counts, plan 2 ways out, stresses that seconds can mean the difference between residents of our community escaping to safety from a fire or having their lives end tragically. It reinforces why everyone needs to have an escape plan. Now therefore be it resolved that the Christiansburg Town Council meeting in regular session September 26, 2017 proclaims October the 8th through the 14th, 2017 as Fire Prevention Week throughout the town of Christiansburg.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution for Fire Prevention Week.
Thank you.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I want to add, Chief Hanson, the parade will be at that Thursday evening,
Next Tuesday night at 7 p.m.
next Tuesday night.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions or comments? Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stokes?
Aye.
Very much. It's 501. Resolution regarding the amendment of Chapter 683 of Virginia Acts of Assembly relating to the New River Valley Emergency Communications Regional Authority.
I would like to thank Dr. Wilson for taking time out of his schedule and clarifying some things. Your intel is good, and it sounds like even though you weren't at some of the discussions we had, you aptly described, I think, some of the sentiments, at least that I felt. And based on that and my relationships with Dr. Wilson on other things, he's a man of his word, and I take him at that, and I'm satisfied that what you're recommending, and the board has acted on that, correct?
Correct.
And so I'm satisfied that at least the item before us this evening, as far as the revised resolution, I'm satisfied that we should table that until we get the redraft, and then we can discuss that, and we can take that up again. But that does seem to satisfy it. I'm speaking for myself, but it satisfies my concerns, and so I'll make a recommendation, or I'll make a motion that we actually table this resolution until further notice, and we have a chance to see what the board comes up with.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just like to thank Dr. Wilson for coming and explaining communication is the key, and I do appreciate the board sort of embracing our concerns and recognizing how we felt when it was first presented to us a few weeks ago. I know you're the man that could articulate something like this to us, and if you could just, and of course, subsequently, I'd like to appreciate the municipal, Virginia Tech and Blacksburg and Montgomery County who will vote on this coming up. It really means a lot to me that our concerns were voiced in a regional manner. I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Yes, sir, I'll just say too, I appreciate your time being here. I appreciate you clarifying, because what we thought is not what you just said. And we thank you very much.
Very good. And I will echo Sherwood, it's always a pleasure to have you come before council. It's also always a pleasure to work with you on the many things that we as council work with you on. And I appreciate it, and breakfast is on you in the morning.
That's right.
It is, isn't it?
It is, I believe it is.
Yeah, okay. So I have a motion and a second, Madam Clerk, that is to table the resolution before us.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
Thank you. We'll table it until hopefully forever, but we got it written if we need it, sure would. Under D, and I think this is a street committee item, the renaming of Schaefer Street, Schaefer Drive.
Yes, the street committee took up 6 items this evening, and to keep it simple, there's only one that needs to come before council this evening, and it's a request, is an organic request from some citizens. But there is a Schaefer Drive and a Schaefer Street in town. They both lead one into the other. But a really quick history, a 30-second history on it is, we believe the intent when the street was named in 1907 was to name it for Captain Charles Schaefer, who established the Christiansburg Institute and the community center and the church, actually. And at that time, Mr. Schaefer's name is spelled Schaeffer, and we do believe that that's what the street was originally named and how it was spelled. But through time, and maybe some people that didn't learn how to read before the 3rd grade, as we heard this evening, the name is currently spelled Schaffer, and the request before us is to not rename the street, but respell it to its original intent for Captain Charles Schaefer. So we're bringing that before council, and the street committee is going to bring that to you in the form of a motion to rename Schaefer Street with the corrected spelling after Captain Charles Schaefer.
I'll second that.
Get a motion and a second. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That's 5-0-1. Thank you very much. Next is the item that we moved out of the consent agenda, council, to set the personal property tax relief percentage at 37.85% as required by the Personal Property Tax Relief Act. Council is required to set this personal property tax relief percentage on an annual basis. Mr. Wingfield, you got anything to add? Is this a percentage we have used every year?
No, it's a
It
calculated
changes.
percentage every year based on the value of vehicles within the community. That's why it has to be approved every year. It's up about 0.8% over last year. It does change from year to year because it's based on the number and value of all the vehicles located within the town.
This dates back to the Gilmore administration.
Yes.
To the who?
The Gilmore administration.
Okay. Very good. So do I hear a motion from council?
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, further questions? Hearing none, Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
This is 5-0-1, thank you. And last, certainly not least in our discussion, the conditional use permit for Stuart Arbuckle and the sign at the Pizza Inn.
Make a motion that we approve Mr. Arbuckle's and Ms. Arbuckle's request to install a digital sign at Pizza Inn.
I second that.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions, comments?
Yeah, I'd already commented about that I'm originally. I was not very strong on all these digital signs, but I think they've come that way, and it sounds like the way he's got is going to be somewhat decent, and so I'll approve it.
Somewhat decent, is that like barely audible?
It's not-
So we have a motion and a second discussion, Madam Clerk.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard? Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That's 501. Thank you very much. I think that concludes our discussion and action by mayor and council. We move into staff reports. Town manager.
At the street committee meeting this afternoon, we went over projects that we will be applying for, basically state grant funding. And I'll just pass copies for council.
There's a presentation coming from engineering on this, is that correct?
We could have one.
For some reason, I thought maybe this is what I was expecting to be presented, but that's fine.
Those applications are due in November.
Okay. Very good.
I'll just, I guess, point out the food truck radio this past weekend had an estimated attendance of between 9,000 and 10,000 people. It was, I think, a big success. A lot of credit, I guess, goes to Downtown Christiansburg, Inc., of course, for organizing the event, and of course, Public Works, Parks and Rec, and Police Department for their participation.
Yeah, it was very well attended, very well attended.
I'd like to set a work session, if we could, for the VML conference. This would be the Sunday night, October 1st, following the host city night, if that's acceptable with council.
So you're saying at 9 o'clock, is that what you're saying?
It'd be whenever host city night is over.
You procure the room?
I can, yes.
Okay. All right. Do we need to go to an action vote on that? I think we probably should have a consensus. Guys, work session?
Yeah.
Okay. Sam, Harry, we good with it? Very good, and public information, public relations will make those, make that matter public.
Well, we're not gonna have everyone there though, right?
That's correct.
That's correct.
If we're not gonna have everyone there, I'm not interested in doing it.
Okay.
I say thumb down on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just me. I don't know what
No,
else.
it's not. It's me too.
Okay.
Point out that the Battleship event this Friday, September 29th at 7 o'clock at the Aquatic Center, and that's for a fundraiser for the first responders. And I'll also point out that on October 14th at 10 a.m., we are setting the Kenneth D. Gibson Memorial Park and Ride dedication.
When is that?
October 14th
October the 14th?
at 10 a.m.
It's a Saturday?
Yes, it is.
At what time?
10 a.m.
Thank you for bringing that up.
That's all I have.
Okay. With council's permission, I know we're kind of waving one way or another, but I would like to still go ahead and ask Ms. Dimmitt if she would go ahead and publicize. I mean, we publicize a meeting. If we don't have it, we're fine, but I'd rather not have it. I'd rather have it publicized than not publicize it and have the meeting. So if that's all right with council, I'm going to go ahead and share that we may go into a work session that evening.
I thought the whole meeting is a work session. It always has been in the past. Is that correct?
Work session.
The whole meeting is a work session. Council's meeting down there the whole time. That's just my recollection.
I think it can certainly be viewed that way. I think that's probably how we have
I think
advertised
last year we did them as two separate things, just to make it clear that you're in conference meetings and then you're meeting privately as a work session.
We did have to advertise
For town
the other
council. So
meeting.
we advertised both though. So I'll get with Randy and make sure I know the time and dates.
Don't we have, I mean, what did we identify last year that we were talking about? Do you remember? Is that
I don't
part of
remember. I
the
can
disclosure
look.
you have to have?
Yeah.
I won't be there, so if anybody's wondering why all of council is not gonna be there, I can't because of work conflict.
I will, with council's permission, I will get with Melissa tomorrow, Randy and I'll sit down, and I'll try to send you what we did last year, but we did a specific work session at one point last year in Virginia Beach. And I can't remember whether it was just a general work session. That agenda was set by someone else. All righty. What else you got, Randy?
That's all I have.
All right. Madam Attorney?
I have nothing.
Any other staff? Well, good. All right. Council reports. Mr. Collins?
Yes, sir. I want to recognize these wastewater treatment people. You do the job that nobody else considers until there's a problem, and then your priority is really high. And you folks are awesome. You win awards. That says a whole lot. We appreciate you very much.
And the passion, you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we ought to do the food truck radio at least once a month. That's all.
Mr. Bishop?
Yes, I'd like to bring something I brought up several times before, and that's the gateway coming in as a 114 Route 8. As we all know, there's a couple of businesses out there that's not very becoming to people coming into town. We ourselves heard that last week. I would like for Mr. Greenfield to look into see what we can do as far as working with the business owners, as far as cleaning up those businesses and make them more present the town as we are, clean and organized. And I would also like Ms. Stipes to put down on the council's task list so it won't get lost. Because I keep getting the same answer each time, is that these businesses are grandfathered in. I understand what grandfathered in means as far as a business, but I would think there would be something they would still have to keep the properties clean. So we can look into that.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Stipes?
I have no reports, but I do want to make a few comments towards Mr. March. I appreciate, and some time ago I met with you personally, but I want to say that I appreciate the way that you came to council this evening with a respectful tone and some specific recommendations for us to consider. And also, actually, in reading the recent drama with your situation, I do appreciate that you were compliant with the requests on Saturday evening. And just a mini drama, but these two individuals, for people that don't know Jared and Marie March, it's a unique story. I won't get into it, but your impact on this community is nothing short of Richter scale as far as changing the vibe here in town. But I do want to specifically appreciate the way that you approached council and that you gave us some very specific recommendations, and I think you made some very good points that we need to take up. And also appreciate that you were compliant with our officers, because they're just doing what they're doing their job. So I just want to specifically say thank you for coming here, and you made some specific points that we need to take up. I think the points were good.
Okay. Mr. Showalter?
I have no committee reports, but I will echo what Brad said. For the marches, I mean, you are an asset to the community. I know I didn't attend your event the other night, but I've heard good things about it. I do agree with Brad that we do need to take this up and have a real discussion concerning the noise ordinance, and we should do it sooner rather than later. Of course, with the election coming up, we might need to push it to the new year or after the election, but that is something I'm going to be looking at this year. I'd also like to just mention DCI. I know Harry mentioned it. I did attend the food truck rodeo. I missed the one in the past, but it was a great event. I think everything came together perfectly. The weather, the number of vendors, and it was well attended. And a lot of people did mention the lines, but I got through the couple lines I was in pretty fast. But the most important thing about these events is a community coming together. I've seen people I haven't seen in years and was able to catch up with them. And everything usually is on a council discussion, but I guess long story short, DCI puts a lot of work into these events. And even though I like to see them once a month, I would like to see them more than once a year. But it was an incredible event, and I just want to pass along my thanks to them and their efforts in putting this together and making it a success. That's it.
Mr. Hubbard?
I'll echo what the Henry and Brad said, specifically about the noise ordinance and also the truck rodeo. I was also going to mention a few words here about Friday night and the battleship. Terry, have you got anything more that maybe would even enlighten it more to get people there?
Yeah, we have a great turnout. Don't want to miss it. It's going to be an awesome event.
All right, 6:30?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Who's gonna win? Have you had any talking going on yet?
The last boat float.
Quite a bit.
If you're not familiar, there'll be sort of canoes out there in the middle of the pool, and they're going to try to sink, everybody's going to try to sink the other canoe, and then the canoe that is standing will win, and hopefully people are going to donate money, along the way. Is that right?
Correct.
The other comment I would have to say is concerning this next Sunday night at VML. I've sat in on several of these, and I've always thought that they were good, if nothing else, just to have us have an opportunity to sit down and talk and work it out. And I'm sorry that Henry's not going to be here, but maybe he's already said that maybe we could do a phone conference with him. And to me, if anybody asked me, I would think it would be a good idea for us just to get together and just chit chat for a while.
We'll advertise it just to be on the safe side.
Okay, all right, thanks to you.
I will again echo what everyone else has said about the food truck rodeo. I talked to David and his group from DCI about putting them on more than once a year, and he almost fainted. I mean, there's a lot of work and a lot of expense. So that may be something that council or future council could look at. Is there something that we would want to do financially to help them put the next one on, other than what we already do? I don't have the dollar figures but he said it's quite a capital outlay for them to do this. So
I think it was left. They're still in the process of getting their nonprofit status for the IRS. We pushed that for a number of years.
Yeah, they're still. I think they're still working on it.
Yeah, no, that's what they told me. They're still working on it. So.
And also, I appreciate Jerry and Marie and Stacy coming tonight, and I think that there were some eyes opened this weekend, and I think that's what, and I think a lot of the eyes that sit here on council were opened, and I think that's a time that we need to do something to make it more reasonable and attractive, and a better way to hold an event. So we will pursue that as soon as we can. For some reason, there's 2 litigation cases still in the court system, and I don't think we can do anything major until that point. But it's certainly not going to go on the back burner. Mr. Huppert and I attended a meeting with New River Community College and the parents and students at Christiansburg High School on Monday evening to talk about the access to community college education. And they gave a really nice program. Said the crowd at Christiansburg High School was bigger than any they had had so far. And for those of you that may not be aware of it, it is a system that a Montgomery County high school senior could go to New River Community College for 2 years tuition free. And there are certain things that they have to do. They have to have a 2.5 average to qualify. They have to maintain a 2.5 GPA. And I think there's 80 hours of community service every year that they need to do. But it is, there was a lot of excitement about it. A lot of people were talking about it. So with that.
I'll add to that too, that they brought out the point too, that, the more educated a community is, the better people from outside the community look at it. And by putting this access program into it, it just has to help. And, maybe students who could not, whose parents maybe, or they don't have enough of a financial background to maybe go to a community college or go to college, this will open the doors for them. And, after 2 years, if they want to, then they're on that track, then they can go to a 4-year school.
Yeah, I think they mentioned 9 programs that they can take at New River that will transfer to any 4-year college in the state of Virginia, and some that are out of state. So, okay, if there's nothing else under other business,
Yes, I'd like to make a request for a closed meeting in accordance with Code of Virginia 2.2-3711-3, discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for public purpose or of the disposition of public held real property. The closed meeting pertains to discussion regarding potential recreational property in Montgomery County, and that is form of a motion.
I second.
in a motion and a second, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop?
Aye.
Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
That's 5:01. We're going to take about a 3 to 5 minute recess.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
Aye.
It's 5:01.
We're back on.
All right.
I got it. Okay, then we're reconvening in open session.
Yeah, I move to certify that the town council of the town of Christiansburg meeting in closed meeting in the best of each member's knowledge, discuss only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meeting requirements by Virginia law and only such matters as are identified in the resolution to enter into closed meeting.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion, yeah, that's a motion.
I thought we were coming out of a closed meeting.
We're certifying we didn't do anything.
Second.
That doesn't sound. Got a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop? Councilman Collins?
Aye.
Councilman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Showalter?
Aye.
Councilman Stipes?
That's 5:01, and we took no official action on anything we discussed tonight. Is that correct? Y'all agree with that? Anything else to come before council? Hearing nothing, we will reconvene in a extended work session on Sunday at VML. We're adjourned.